Guidelines to Purim. We're 4 weeks away now, right? We're getting close, right? Half shekel. And by the way, this is actually, remember everything I'm telling you, because next week, not this week, not in 2 days, but in 9 days, is Parsha Shkolim, right? The shekels, right? The half shekel. What is the meaning of the Maxis HaShekel, the half shekel? On Erev Purim, there's a custom to give 3 coins to charity to recall the half shekel that was donated annually to the temple treasury in the month of Adar. Each coin should be the denomination of half the standard currency of the country. A half shekel, a half dollar, a half pound, etc. What 3 coins are given? In the portion of the Torah dealing with the half shekel, the word truma, donation, appears 3 times. That's all. One must give precisely these 3 half coins. Yes, one should not give 1 whole coin, 1 half coin, or give more than the correct amount and take change. If a person does not have the correct coins, he should obtain them from another person or from charity box. Most shuls have the 3 coins, sometimes even bound together with some scotch tape, right? And what people do is they make a donation to the shul in a basket, right? And they pick up the shekel, the 3 shekels, or in this case it'd be 3 50-cent pieces, I guess, right? You know, or maybe with inflation, it's a 3 loonies instead of toonies, right? They hold it up, right, and then put it down, right? And that means that you've done the mitzvah at that point. Right? So you don't actually have, most places you don't have to have the coins, because they have the coins for you to use, and you can make a donation to the shul.
I think there's abundant.
Yeah, it's a normal thing. What if one cannot obtain the exact coins? He should give 3 coins and have in mind that half of each coin is fulfilled the mitzvah, and the other halves are a gift to charity. Alternatively, 2 people could jointly give 3 whole coins. That's interesting, actually. I didn't know that. Must the half coins have a minimum value? Strictly speaking, there's no minimum requirement, and one may even use half coins of low value. However, in this situation, it's praiseworthy to give a sum of money equal to the value of the original half shekel, in addition to the 3 coins. This is approximately $2, 9.6 grams of silver. It varies with the price of silver, right, at the time this book was written. If a person gives several sets of half coins for family members, see question 44, we're coming to it, and the total value reaches this figure, he is not required to give more. What if there is no half coin in the local currency? He should use the suggestions mentioned above in number 40, where he has in mind that he's giving a whole coin and the other half of it is for charity. May one use coins of another country? It is questionable whether a person may use coins that are not legal tender in his country, and he should rather use one of the suggestions mentioned above. In extenuating circumstances, one can fulfill this mitzvah by giving any sum of money to charity. Who's obligated to perform this mitzvah? According to one opinion, only men from the age of 20 are obligated. According to other opinions, all men above bar mitzvah are obligated. Because above 20 you could go out to war. And that's part of why the census was taken with a half shekel. Right? In those days, right, you know, it's not a good thing to count Jews. We don't count Jews. Right? So if you said everybody puts in a half shekel, and you count the half shekels, you can determine how many people there were that are eligible for the army, let's say, right? According to other opinions, all men above bar mitzvah are obligated. However, the custom is that a father gives on behalf of all his sons, whatever their ages. The custom is also to give if one's wife is pregnant, in case the baby is a boy. Right? So, for instance, sometimes when people are counting for a minyan, right? You can't count 10. There are a number of different phrases that have 10 letters in them. So, for instance, the prayer on bread, motzi, has 10 words. So you can't count 1, 2, 3, but you could count, Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu.
I just use letters.
You can use letters.
A, B, C,
yeah, I don't know what
hit
the
J.
letters.
J.
Right. Oh, right. J is a 10th.
J is a 10th. Because that's how I do it in the morning when I go to Minyan.
I should know
A,
that.
B, C, D, E, F, G. And if I hit J, I know I have a Minyan.
That's it.
I never count the numbers. I just go J. So if you're a D, you're an E, you're an F. That's how I do it in the morning.
Must this custom be maintained every year? May one discontinue the practice? Every year. If a father began to give on behalf of a child, he must do so every year. However, when the child becomes bar mitzvah and accepts to perform the mitzvah himself, the father need not give for him any longer. A father is not obligated to give on behalf of children for whom he never previously gave. May one discontinue the practice by performing the annulment of vows. Since this is a universal custom, annulment of vows may not be performed. Right? You can't perform a vow, not to fast on Yom Kippur. Right? Okay, we're supposed to do it, but I want it annulled. However, if a father began to give on behalf of his children with the mistaken assumption that this was an obligation, he may discontinue the practice without an annulment of vows. Right? He can't discontinue giving himself for himself, but he could for the children. Should one give money on behalf of women and girls? According to some opinions, it's praiseworthy to do so. Should the money be given to a specific cause? The money should be given to the poor. It should not be used for shul upkeep, communal needs, or similar cause. What if one cannot find a poor person? The money should be set aside for the poor and kept until it can be given to the correct cause.
I'm sure you can find it for a poor person.
On which day is this mitzvah performed? On the fast of Esther. In Yerushalayim, some have the custom to perform it on the 14th of Adar, which is the beginning of Purim for everybody else. And does anybody know when the fast of Esther is this year?
Thursday.
Very good. And Purim begins Motzi Shabbos, right? So it would be on the Thursday that we would do the half shekel at Mincha. At what time should here it is. At what time should the mitzvah be performed? At Mincha, some perform the mitzvah before Mincha, some perform it afterwards. What if one person forgot to perform the mitzvah on the correct day? He should give money on Purim morning before the Megillah is read. If he forgot then also, he may give it until the end of Adar. Should anything be said when giving the money? Nothing needs to be said, but if one wishes, one may say that this is to commemorate the giving of the half shekel. One must be careful not to say this is the half shekel, since according to some opinions, this would sanctify the money and prohibit its use. Right? Once it becomes sacred, once it becomes part of the temple,
what you're donating.
right? Once you make it kodesh, then it can't be used for another purpose. It can only be used for that purpose. May one use ma'aser money? That's maaser. That's your tithe, right? One day we'll go into a whole conversation about truma and maaser. There's a good piece on Kosher Tube about.
I was wondering, when they heard the term maaser money, because when you give money to tzedakah, is that maaser money?
No. Maaser money is something, and it's a longer conversation we have time for now. But maaser money is from your revenue, right? After certain costs have been removed, including taxes and stuff like that, you're expected to take 10% out to give, and this is not tzedakah.
Okay.
This is a requirement. Tzedakah is something that you can or don't have to give, right? You should give, right? Maaser is a requirement to give, 10%, right? How that 10% is calculated really is a class in itself that we can do sometime in the future, but not right now. But it's a very important thing to give.
But that 10%, the maaser money, goes to tzedakah or goes to other things?
No, it goes to tzedakah.
It goes to tzedakah.
It goes to tzedakah, but it's
so
not
it's the
tzedakah.
maaser is just the 10% tzedakah, like the,
but it's a formal calculation. It's a formal calculation, right? That when you do the calculation, some people do it once a year. Some people do it weekly. If they're paid weekly, right? People who are personally employed have to figure out how to do it properly. Many people have separate bank accounts for maaser, right? So if they, if their revenue after their net, let's call it, opposed to gross, was $100, right? They will immediately take $10 and put it into the maaser account. Right?
I see.
And then when when the charitable event comes that they want to give to, they take it out of that account and write a check for it. Right? It comes from a special account for that purpose. 2 days of Purim, yes.
So this giving of the half shekel is done before or during the fast?
Yeah, it's done in the middle of the fast, mincha.
So actually you have a sacrifice within a sacrifice given to God. And is that done in an expectation that God would avert something or not harm us in some way?
The half shekel is really given in commemoration of, well, there's two factors, and it's they may get into it. The two factors, the half shekel was given yearly at the temple, so it's a commemoration of the temple itself, right? It was used for temple upkeep, right? That was its purpose, right? It was needed for that purpose, right? So it was also used for the purpose of a census. You would know how many people there were, right? A rich man could not give more than half shekel, and a poor man could not give less.
It was always the same.
So yeah, you can give tzedakah, you can give maser. You had to give maser. You had to give truma. There's a whole series of different things you had to give, right? Mm-hmm. But maser was something that everybody gave equally, rich and poor. It was the same as a flat tax, so to speak. Right? Mm-hmm. And it had many purposes. So we give it in that memory. We also know that Haman offered to Achashverosh the same value in silver for the extermination of the Jews. He was a fabulously rich person, and he said to the king, he said, I have these talents of silver, right? This is the weight of silver, right, which I'll donate to the kingdom in order that we get rid of this people that's a problem, clean the kingdom of the Jews, so to speak. Achashverosh was very tempted, but in the end turned down. It's a long story. We'll talk about it as we get closer to Purim. So it really represents both of those things. The silver at that point. And Haman was aware of those.
To me, it's like a wider sacrifice, and then within that, there's the sacrifice of the half shekel.
But what is the wider sacrifice? The fast?
Yeah, and then there's something even beyond that.
Well, it's not the fast was not. It's not like the other fasts.
No.
No, in some ways it's the most lenient of fasts. Number one, if a person's ill or not well, there's more leniencies than most fasts. Number two, it isn't a fast in remembrance of destruction of anything. It's actually a fasting in preparation for victory. Right? So it's very different. It was, Esther told the people to fast for 3 days before she went to see the king. Right?
So she's stepping up to doing something more creative and constructive.
Well, remember that you can't go to the king unless you're called or else they kill you.
Right. So, in a sense, it was ascending to a higher level through the fast.
Okay. Now I got it.
And she wanted the people all to be with her. She was going to fast, and they were going to fast.
That's right.
So there'd be a unity of the people before she went. Why are there 2 days of Purim? In most of the world, Purim is celebrated on the 14th of Adar. But in Yerushalayim, it is celebrated on the 15th. This difference is because of the way in which the miracle occurred. The wicked Haman, a descendant of Amalek, had enacted a decree signed by King Achashverosh to kill all the Jews on the 13th of Adar. When this day arrived, the Jewish people defended their lives and waged war against their enemies throughout the 127 provinces of the kingdom. 127 is a very significant number. It's also the age that Sarah lived to.
Yeah, 100 plus 20 plus 7 years.
And it was how Rabbi Akiva kept his people awake in class, it said, in the Beis Medrash. When he would connect the 127 provinces to Sarah, Menu, right? They would kind of, wait a second, the Rebbe's onto something important here, right? And they would listen up, right? A great miracle occurred, and the tables were completely turned. Thousands of Amalekites were killed, and not a single Jew lost his life. The following day, the 14th of Adar, was celebrated everywhere as a day of great rejoicing. They knew, unlike Hanukkah, they knew immediately that this was a holiday. Hanukkah, they didn't make a holiday until the following year. However, in Shushan, the capital, the fighting continued on the 14th of Adar at the request of Esther, and on the 15th of Adar became the day of rejoicing in the capital city. She wanted the job finished. You remember she said, hang them again. About the sons of...
That's interesting, yeah.
Which we'll come
says
to.
that the other two hang twice.
The sages wished to commemorate these events by fixing 2 different days of Purim. What's the criterion of fixing the day of Purim? Since Shushan was a walled city, the sages decided to give special status to any city that was walled during the days of Joshua. Such cities celebrate Purim on the 15th of Adar, as does Shushan itself. One may have expected the criterion to be dependent on the city having a wall during the days of Esther, but Eretz Yisrael was desolate at that time, and walled cities at Chutz La'aretz would have received the honor. Therefore, the time of Joshua is chosen as a criterion in order to bestow special honor on Eretz Yisrael. Shushan, where the miracle occurred, is an exception to the rule and celebrates Purim also on the 15th of Adar. Although it was not walled during the days of Joshua, it is for this reason that the 15th of Adar is known as Shushan Purim. Which cities celebrate the 15th of Adar today? Today, only Yerushalayim celebrates Purim on the 15th of Adar. That means that if you live, say, in Efrat, which is a 15-minute drive from Purim, from Jerusalem, right?
They don't.
That you can have Purim on the 14th,
And then go there.
and then drive to Jerusalem for another Purim on the 15th.
Yeah.
Right?
2 of them.
A number of cities, by the way, the reverse is very depressing.
Yeah, you don't
Right?
get
Imagine if you were in Jerusalem on the 14th and in Efrat on the 15th.
Yeah.
That would be disappointing.
Yeah.
A number of cities in Eretz Israel observe both days because of doubts about the existence of walls during the period. These include Akko, Beersheba, Haifa, Jaffa, Lod, and Tzfat. Hebron and Tiberias have the custom to observe both days only for the mitzvah of the Megillah. In Chutz La'aretz, Baghdad, Damascus, and Prague read the Megillah on both days. In all these places, the brachas of Megillah are recited on the 14th of Adar only. Right? Because it's a suffix, it's a doubt. So if you have a doubt, you don't say the bracha because you don't say a bracha that's taking God's name in vain. Should all neighborhoods in Jerusalem celebrate Purim on the 15th of Adar? Although most Jerusalem neighborhoods lie outside the walls of the old city, almost all celebrate on the 15th. This is because the city extends beyond the walls in all directions, with residential areas adjacent to one another, thereby uniting all neighborhoods into one large city. Outlying isolated areas are not separated from the city by a distance of 141 cubits, 80 meters. May be considered a separate town that should observe on the 14th. So if there is 80 meters separating you from this row of buildings, right, then you're probably on the 14th. A Rav should be consulted in this situation. And needless to say, Purim was celebrated outside the walls of Jerusalem as well, always, because Jerusalemites saw themselves as part of it if it was connected. Do places observe the 14th celebrate in any way on the 15th and vice versa? The following apply to everyone in all places on both days. Rejoicing in festive eating, prohibition of fast, and to eulogize, Tachnun and Lamnatseh are omitted. Right? So there's an element of joy on the 15th too, but it's not the major celebration. Laws of Purim. We're on chapter 5. Let's try and see if we can get through this one. Yeah, it's not too long. Okay, we'll do this chapter and then we'll call it a night. You guys are hanging in. You're doing good. Okay. Any questions? Anybody? Okay. The laws of Purim. What mitzvahs are performed on Purim? There are 4 mitzvahs. Anybody want to take a shot at them?
4 mitzvahs.
4 mitzvahs, yeah.
To hear the Megillah reading, to have the Purim meal, to give the gifts to your friends, and the charity to give to the poor.
Very good. That's it. Let's read about them more specifically. There are 4 mitzvahs. Reading the Megillah, and you have to hear it once? Very good. Night and day. Giving gifts to the poor. Sending food packages to one another. Right? Right. Feasting and rejoicing. Remember, at Hanukkah, they wanted to keep us alive, but to change us. So at Hanukkah, we celebrate with something very spiritual, light. Right? At Purim, they weren't concerned about keeping us alive. They wanted to kill us physically.
There was
right?
no, we gotta keep us
Kill us
alive.
physically. Mm-hmm. So, for that reason, it's a very physical holiday of feasting. Right? What are the main changes to the prayers in Purim? Al HaNisim, which we also say at Hanukkah, all right, meaning the miracles, is added to Shemona Esrei and benching. It's a different Al HaNisim. They both start the same. One goes on to tell the story of the Maccabees. The other one goes on to tell the story of Mordechai and Esther. Taknun and Lanatseya, which are both said as the sort of unhappy things, are omitted. We also don't say them when there's a bris or a wedding.
Yeah, just like this morning there was a bris.
Right.
Didn't do it.
And the Torah is read on Purim, regardless of what day it is. Where is Al HaNisim recited in Shemona Esrei? It's said during the bracha of Modim. In it, we thank Hashem for the miracles that He performed and for rescinding the decree of the evil Haman. Should one say Va'al HaNisim or Al HaNisim? Both versions are acceptable. According to some opinions, Va'al is more correct. Va'al versus Al HaNisim. You have to look in the siddur here to know how they do it here. May one say Al HaNisim by heart. Since this has not been said for the entire year, one should use a siddur at least the first time in order to avoid mistakes. What if one forgot to say it? If he has not yet said the name of Hashem at the conclusion of the bracha, he should go back to Al HaNisim and continue from there. If he has already said Hashem's name, he should continue the Shemona Esrei, and at the end of the paragraph, Elohei Netzor should, before saying the verse Yehu L'Ratzon, he should add a special prayer, and it gives you the prayer. And then he should continue B'mi Mordechai. What if he forgot to say the special prayer? He does not repeat Shemona Esrei. Where is Al HaNisim added to benching? In the second bracha. What if one forgot to say it? If he has not yet said the name of Hashem at the conclusion of the bracha, he should go back to Al HaNisim and continue there. And if he's already said the name of Hashem, he should continue benching. When reaching the special Harachamam, then he should repeat what he did in the if he missed it in davening. What if he forgot to say the special Harachamam? He does not repeat benching. Why is Hallel not recited? Big question, right? We recite full Hallel for Hanukkah. The Megillah reading is in place of Hallel. Right? The Megillah is Hallel. It is a praise of God in itself. Right? Hallel is only said to celebrate a miracle that resulted in our freedom to serve Hashem. But after the miracle of Purim, we still remained enslaved to Achashverosh. Right? That's the second reason, right? Remember, we didn't go back immediately and start rebuilding the temple. Achashverosh didn't let us. It was Darius who did the second.
That's their son, right? Darius the second, right?
Esther and Achashverosh's
son, yeah.
Hallel can only be said for a miracle that occurred in Eretz Yisrael. The miracle of Purim occurred in Persia. Interestingly enough, they may cover this in here. Many different Jewish communities have a separate Purim during the year to recognize a miracle that saved the community from certain death, because there are many such things. So they have their own kind of Purim Katan.
This is, maybe it's a terrible question, but someone who survived the Holocaust, it's a miracle what they came through, but the people suffered so much. So many others didn't survive. So can one say a praise of God if one is a survivor?
For sure. If one is a survivor, yes. I mean, we have survivors in this shul who have built beautiful families. They suffered terribly and had terrible hardships, but they came through it, they rebuilt, and they continued God's process, right? So they have a great deal to be grateful. Many of them have feel much more when they say all this thing, they feel much more powerfully than we do, who just kind of go through life. They've actually survived. Do they have terrible pain? Do they have nightmares? Do they miss those people? Do they wonder why me and not the other person? All those things are true. A better question, and I don't want to go into the story, but the story of the Buzheva Rebbe, who lit Hanukkah candles in a concentration camp and had to say Al Anissi. Right? You could imagine, the situation. But we'll talk about it maybe at Hanukkah time. I don't want to get into it now, but it's an amazing moment, right? In the end, it was definitely the right thing for him to do. And he was challenged by his own people. How can you? Right. May a person daven while dressed in a fancy costume? This is forbidden, since one must dress respectably when davening. In addition, it's a custom to wear Shabbos clothes on Purim. So for sure, the night of Purim, adults, it's better not to wear a costume. But we'll come back to this in more detail later. Right? May a person daven while intoxicated? Very important. Right? If he is intoxicated to the extent that he would not be able to speak respectfully to an important official, he may not daven. He should be sober when he davens. That's the bottom line. If he davens in such a state, the prayer is an abomination.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. This word is used in very specific situations, and it's intended to be used here that way. And he is obligated to daven again when sober. Right. It means he hasn't wasted the bracha. The bracha was nothing. Right, because he would be forbidden to repeat it.
Talking to the ultimate king of the king, right?
If he's only slightly intoxicated, right, which sometimes it happens to me on the second glass of wine, even very light wine at Pesach, right, I feel lightheaded. If he's only slightly intoxicated to the extent that he would be able to speak respectfully to an important official, it's nonetheless not correct to daven. It is nonetheless not correct to daven. Right? However, the custom on Purim is to be lenient and allow prayer in this state, although ideally he should wait until he is sober. A person who is careful not to daven while intoxicated will be saved from troubles. Just two notes. That I've had the privilege for many, many years, for more than 15 years, to always have my Purim at the home of Rosh Hashiva. And the boys all come to the Rosh Hashiva's home after dinner to celebrate with him. And it's a beautiful day. And people are quite intoxicated. And I noticed two things. One is, by the time Mariv comes, that the Rosh Hashiva is incredibly sharp. Like there's no intoxication at all at that point. Right? Number two is that I noticed that the boys consider it a license to be very affectionate. All year long with the Rosh Hashiva, it's Rosh Hashiva like this, Rosh Hashiva like that. Is Rosh Hashiva comfortable? Right? During this time, it's not, hey Shmuel, I love you, to the Rosh Hashiva. It's, I want the Rosh Hashiva to know how much I love him and to embrace him. There's a license to express these kind of feelings.